Welcome to the Cenario Podcast, your guide to mental health and well-being. Each episode, we uncover practical tools, discuss expert insights, and explore how supplements can transform your mental health journey. Get ready to learn, grow, and thrive with us.
Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we are diving deep into a stack of sources about maybe one of the most critical yet sometimes misunderstood parts of our nervous system, the vagus nerve.
That's right.
If you've ever had one of those gut feelings or, if you're just curious about how we actually calm down after being stressed out, well, this nerve is pretty much running the show. We're talking about the 10th cranial nerve.
And its name gives us the first big clue. It's often called the wanderer.
The wander.
Yeah, it comes straight from the Latin word vagus, which means wandering.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect description for its incredibly long, sort of meandering path through the body.
That path really is key, isn't it? Because unlike most nerves that kind of stick to one area, the vagus nerve acts like this massive communication superhighway. It's got this dual role. It's both sensory, so sending info from your organs back up to the brain.
Right, vital info.
And it's also motor, controlling muscles and functions in those organs.
It really is the ultimate connector. We're talking a direct line, basically, from the brainstem to, almost every major organ below your neck.
Like the heart, lungs.
Your heart, your lungs, your whole digestive tract, even your immune system. So our goal here is to really get a handle on how this one nerve manages to keep everything in balance, so homeostasis, and how it acts like a master switch for both physical and mental health.
Okay, so let's trace that journey then, this incredibly long road trip. Where exactly does it kick off?
It starts way up high in the brainstem, specifically an area called the medulla oblongata. That's the bit controlling really basic stuff like breathing and your heartbeat. But here's the interesting part. Most cranial nerves, they just stay up in the head or neck region, the vagus nerve. It decides to take the long way down.
Right, it really wanders. It goes all the way down, doesn't it?
All the way down, through the neck, deep into the chest, and then spreads out through the whole abdomen. Think of it as the body's ultimate long-haul trucker.
Yeah.
And it travels right alongside major blood vessels, the carotid artery carrying blood to the brain, and the jugular vein bringing it back.
Okay, so its location is strategic.
Absolutely. That placement signals its importance right away. It's constantly monitoring and managing things like blood flow, heart rate, almost everything at once.
So this massive reach, it's obviously functional. It's not just anatomy for anatomy's sake. What sort of specialized jobs does it do as it branches out? I see notes here about like vocal cords, the heart, even part of the ear.
Yeah, that's where you see the really cool functional anatomy. For instance, you have branches controlling the pharynx and larynx. These are crucial for two things we do constantly, speaking and swallowing.
Right.
So if someone has, say, chronic voice changes or unexplained hoarseness, that could actually be a clue pointing towards vagal nerve involvement.
Ah, interesting.
And then there's that direct line to the heart through what's called the cardiac plexus. This branch specifically sends signals to slow the heart rate down.
Ah, the brake pedal.
Exactly. It's the body's built-in brake pedal for the whole circulatory system. Yeah. Its location and all these connections mean it's constantly relaying info about what's happening outside, like stress, and translating that into an internal physiological response.
Wow. So the very same nerve that helps me, belt out a song in the shower is the one telling my heart to just chill out. That amazing reach makes perfect sense when we think about its main job, balancing all those things our body does automatically without us thinking.
Exactly.
And that brings us right to its most critical function, doesn't it?
It does.
The vagus nerve, as the main driver of the parasympathetic nervous system, that's the whole rest and digest system.
Absolutely. You can think of the vagus nerve as your body's primary anti-stress and, importantly, anti-inflammatory switch. Its whole existence is crucial because it provides that necessary counterbalance to the other sides of the sympathetic nervous system.
Which is the fight or flight response.
Right. So when something stressful happens, you get cut off in traffic, you have a deadline looming, the sympathetic system kicks in. Heart speeds up, breathing gets faster, digestion basically pauses because, your body thinks you need to run, not digest lunch.
Makes sense.
But then, once that threat or stressor is gone, the vagus nerve needs to step in, and quickly. It's the calming force. It activates to bring your heart rate, your blood pressure, your breathing back down to a normal resting state.
And that quick return to balance, that's homeostasis.
That's homeostasis in action. And the vagus nerve is absolutely key for making that happen efficiently.
Okay, let's break down what that actually means day to day. If the vagus nerve is working well, how does it impact our major systems? Let's start with, say, digestion.
Oh, it's fundamental to digestion. It's like the engine. It actively stimulates what we call gut motility, basically, the movement of the stomach and intestines, pushing food along properly.
Okay.
It also signals the release of digestive enzymes, stomach acid, and it helps with the final absorption of nutrients. So if your vagal function is weak, your digestion is likely going to be sluggish, plain and simple.
Right. Slow transit, feeling bloated, things like that.
Exactly, those kinds of things.
Okay, what about the immune system connection? That one feels a bit less obvious, maybe.
This is where it gets really interesting and honestly very relevant clinically these days. The vagus nerve directly controls inflammation. It actually communicates with immune cells.
How does it do that?
Well, think about chronic stress again. The sympathetic system, fight or flight, can trigger widespread inflammation if it's constantly active. The vagus nerve's job is to hit the brakes on that inflammatory response.
So it stops the body from overreacting.
Precisely. It modulates it, helps prevent the immune system from going, well, rogue, essentially. It keeps things in check.
So it's not just rest and digest, it's also an inflammation manager. And I think I saw a metabolic manager too.
You got it. It connects directly to the liver and the pancreas. That makes it integral for glucose regulation, managing blood sugar levels. It also plays a role in how we store fat and even in the body's detoxification processes. It's constantly working to keep all our internal machinery calibrated and running efficiently.
This is huge. If we connect all this physical control back to the bigger picture, we absolutely have to talk about mental health now, because the vagus nerve keeps coming up as the physical link in the gut-brain axis.
It is the physical cable connecting what some people call our two brains, the one in our head and the one in our gut. You get this, about 80 to 90% of the nerve fibers in the vagus nerve are sensory. They send information up from the gut to the brain.
Wait, 80 to 90%. So it's mostly listening to the gut.
Mostly listening to the gut.
Yeah.
And through that pathway, it profoundly influences our mood, our memory, our emotional regulation, partly by affecting key neurotransmitters like serotonin. And as you know, a huge amount of serotonin is actually made in the gut.
Okay, hold on. You're saying the same nerve that helps me swallow my food is also controlling my anxiety levels. That just feels like an incredible amount of responsibility for one single wandering cable.
It is. But it explains so much about that mind-body connection we always talk about. Think about the term vagal tone.
Right, I've heard that. What does it actually mean?
It basically refers to the strength, or you could say the resilience, of the nerve's activity. When your vagal tone is strong, it generally means you have higher heart rate variability. Your heart rate is flexible, and crucially, your body can return to a state of calm quickly after you experience stress.
Okay, so if I get like a stressful email, my heart pounds, but then 5 minutes later I feel pretty much back to normal. That's good vagal tone.
That's a great example of strong vagal tone in action. That quick recovery is so important for managing things like chronic anxiety, depression, even PTSD. Because strong vagal tone means your body isn't getting stuck in that perpetual fight or flight mode.
Right, it can switch back. So conversely then, if the nerve is underactive or maybe damaged, the consequences could show up almost anywhere, couldn't they?
Yeah.
Physically, psychologically. What are some key warning signs maybe listeners could recognize?
Yeah, absolutely. Since it's so involved in motility, persistent digestive problems are often one of the first things people notice. Chronic constipation, maybe indigestion, or sometimes more severe things like gastroparesis. That's where the stomach empties really slowly.
So you feel full for ages after eating.
Exactly. You just feel full way longer than you should.
Okay. And what about the heart or maybe the voice, like you mentioned earlier?
On the cardiovascular side, you might see things like a persistently high resting heart rate, or maybe an irregular heartbeat, sometimes feeling dizzy or lightheaded when you stand up quickly.
Oh, yeah.
That can be a sign that the vagal mechanism controlling blood pressure stabilization isn't quite keeping up.
Yeah.
And yeah, as we mentioned, difficulty swallowing, or that persistent, unexplained hoarseness or voice change.
These issues are so widespread, which really highlights why the vagus nerve is becoming such a powerful target for, well, for interventions. Let's pivot to that section 4, clinical and natural stimulation. How are doctors actually targeting this nerve now to treat serious conditions?
Well, the main clinical breakthrough is something called vagus nerve stimulation, or VNS. This is typically an FDA-approved therapy, usually involves surgically implanting a small pacemaker-like device. And this device sends regular, mild electrical impulses directly to the vagus nerve, usually in the neck.
And what does that do? What conditions actually benefit from that kind of stimulation?
The goal is to effectively modify abnormal brain activity and essentially enhance vagal tone, make that whole nervous system more resilient. It's become a standard treatment for certain types of treatment-resistant depression.
Wow.
And also drug-resistant epilepsy. We also see it used for certain cluster headaches, and there's really promising research emerging for inflammatory disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, and even for chronic anxiety and PTSD. It's kind of like retraining the nervous system electrically.
That sounds quite involved, the implant. But I think the really encouraging part of this deep dive, for me anyway, is knowing that you don't necessarily need an implant to start supporting your own vagal health. What are some simple, practical things we can all do, like daily?
Yeah, absolutely. And probably the simplest, most direct way is through your breath. Deep, slow, diaphragmatic breathing from your belly, not your chest, is like sending a direct command to your vagus nerve.
Telling it to calm down.
Telling it to slow the heart rate and engage that parasympathetic rest and digest system. This is fundamentally why practices like meditation are so effective physiologically.
Right. And since the nerve is wired into our voice box, that means sound is important too.
Critically important. Things like singing, humming, or even chanting are incredibly effective.
Really? Humming?
Yes. The vibration created by these actions directly stimulates the vagal branches there in your throat and larynx. So yes, maybe your terrible shower singing is actually good for you. It's like free medical therapy.
I love that. Permission to sing badly. Okay, what else works? I know cold exposure comes up a lot in the sources.
Ah, yes, a cold shock. Exposure to cold could be splashing ice water on your face, taking a quick cold shower finish, maybe even just sticking your face in the freezer for 30 seconds.
Seriously? The freezer?
Yeah. It causes this sudden, strong activation of the vagus nerve. It instantly engages that brake pedal response we talked about earlier.
Quick reset.
A very quick reset. And finally, don't overlook the basics. Rhythmic exercise, things like walking, swimming, cycling, those promote healthy vagal activity. And, maybe surprisingly important, genuine, positive social connection.
How does that work?
Positive social interaction boosts hormones like oxytocin, which is strongly linked to promoting parasympathetic activity and relaxation. So it turns out, having a good laugh with a friend isn't just fun, it's actually excellent medicine for your vagal tone.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener? We've traced the path of this wanderer, the 10th cranial nerve, and it's clear it's a vital regulator for basically your entire involuntary life, from fighting inflammation to managing stress responses. It's truly one of the most critical and maybe often underrated systems in the body.
Absolutely. And understanding it and knowing you can actively support this system gives you this profound, conscious way to influence your internal state, build resilience.
Yeah, take some control back.
Exactly.
And that brings us to our final provocative thought for you to maybe chew on. Since the vagus nerve is this physical link between things like sound, breath, and achieving profound psychological calm, and since it really is the master switch for calming down that stress response, consider this: the next time you feel totally overwhelmed, maybe by information overload, anxiety, just internal chaos, maybe your most powerful and immediate path back to balance isn't anything more complicated than taking a deep breath and letting out a good, loud, rhythmic hum.
Thanks for tuning in to the Cenario podcast. Don't forget to visit Cenario.com for more expert tips, articles, and supplements designed to support your mental health. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, take care of yourself.